It is now so difficult to prosecute an argument, and so few people in public life are prepared to actually try and prosecute an argument.
Yeah, because we've signed up to a faith, John, and that's what I think that's happened with the entire environmental movement, right? So essentially, over the course of the last couple of hundred years, Western societies have ditched a widespread belief in God, a widespread belief in faith. But there is a God-shaped hole inside of everybody, and you try to fill it. And you try to fill it, most people try to fill it with something good. So I understand why people really want to care for the environment. I want to care for the environment as well. I've been in really poor countries. I lived in India. I can tell you this, poor countries do not look after the environment. People scrabble to make a living, and they'll do whatever they can to do that. And it's in those poorest countries that you'll see most of the rubbish.
And okay, all right. So I just want to touch quickly on like what he said very early on was like what did he say? He said that we're basing this on faith instead of data. If you had a look at my previous video just before where I covered the full Gen Cost report by the CSIRO, you will see that there is a shitload of data there to support the rollout of renewables. There is a lot of data there to basically support any sort of way of arguing that renewables is going to be the cheapest form of electricity over the next decade or whatever. If he's just going to argue that the climate, anything to do with climate, that's sort of what I was talking about before in my comment prompt. We need to know. I think the very first question is: do you believe in climate change or do you not? Because I think that shapes two different conversations. If you don't believe in climate change, then there's no even point talking about renewables. You're basically talking about the Climate Change Act. You're talking about any sort of Paris Agreement argument. Those are the sort of arguments we're going to be having. If you do believe in climate change, you do think there is a climate, that we need to take some sort of climate action, then you can go down the path of like, okay, but what is the best sort of target in terms of our energy, like how our energy grid should look like? When he talks about places like third world countries or poor countries not being able to do much, like we're sort of talking about here. Yeah, okay, I get that. They don't treat the environment very well. That is correct. But it's not in their ability. We as Australia, one of the leading economies in the world. I think what are we, like 12th or 13? Might not be in the top 10, but still we are leaders and we can do something about it. And I think as leaders, if anyone has done any sort of leadership training, your leaders need to perform at their best and then people follow. And I just think for Australia to do something like this, it shows that we are more than capable of doing it, and it shows that we are experts in this field as well. And I think I think we could hold out. We could be quite. I don't want to use the word patriotic because Australia's not too patriotic. Well, can't say that lately, but we could be we could hold a lot of pride in if we do achieve these goals for emission reductions.
It's in those poorest countries where you'll see most of the damage to the environment. And by the way, all of sub-Saharan Africa would like to get rich like us one day, and they want to stop burning dung by way of fuel. So there's a whole continent there that's going to, at some stage, begin to progress. I hope they do, but they're going to want to burn fossil fuel to get there, John. So one of the things that gets me about all of this is we are not debating logic. We are debating a faith. And our ruling class.
Yeah, just as well as talking about before, logic or faith. You can. There's a lot of data set that says that climate change is real. There is something happening, and there is a lot of data set around to say that renewables are going to be the cheapest form of electricity and the easiest way for us to basically achieve these emission reductions. So I don't understand what's his alternative? Is he just going to say we should just keep burning coal and screw the environment? If that's his point, then okay, yeah, go for it. But I just don't think you can say that the net zero target is on faith. I think it is very, very calculated. I think there's a lot of scientific research, and there is.
Our elites have essentially signed up to this faith. The media class, absolutely across a large proportion of it, has signed up to this. There's been, when you talk about making these arguments, why is it so hard? Because you can't get a lot of journalists to ask the kinds of questions that need to be asked about the people who are making these policy decisions. because they've signed up to the faith as well. So it is.
This is conspiracy theory crackpot at its finest. Man, like, do people actually believe that there is so much movement behind this climate action stuff and the rollout of renewables? Do they actually think that there's all these people, all these world leaders that are all conspiring together to achieve a target that is just used to like manipulate the public or something like that? Does he actually believe that? Because you are absolutely delusional if you think that there is this stupid, like this. What's another conspiracy like that has actually proved to be true? Like this is just conspiracy theorists.
It is a very difficult argument to make, but I intend to keep making it, and I understand, I believe, and I genuinely mean this.
When he says he's got an argument, it's what is lacking is evidence and scientific research and support. You're going to find this against all of these videos. Is they're talking about like, oh, I'm going to keep making the argument and keep making the argument, but you're just saying things like it's there's nothing to back it up, and then what you're going up against is a lot of research. There is a lot of science behind it. There's a lot of reporting, and there's a lot of back and forth and feedback loops in terms of updating the latest technology to basically support it. And then your argument is just words, and that's where it falls short.
That one day this will be decided by physics. If the lights go out, if the cost rises too much, then people will start to pay attention to what's going on, and then we need to be there to tell them, well, what's changed? Because I'll tell you what's going to happen on the east coast of Australia on our national electricity market. Now, we are running our last coal-fired power plants about as hard as we can. And despite what the government says, it's trying to keep them alive for as long as it can, because that's what's keeping our system alive. One day when the sun's not shining, the wind's not blowing, and probably in the middle of winter when it's really quite cold, one of those big coal-fired plants is going to give out. It'll break because of the stress that it's under. And then we'll see our energy ministers come rushing out and say, see, we told you, unreliable old power broke down. They won't say, by the way, that wind and solar was resting on its shovels doing nothing at that time. It'll all be the fault of that last bit of dispatchable power. Now, this is the thing I would say to the coalition.
Now, I'm pretty sure that it's already recorded that like something like 40% of the suppliers already there's a good like almost half a generation is buying renewables at the moment anyway. And if coal goes down, it's not going to completely turn all the lights out. And like the coal reliability anyway, there's going to be like the reliability of coal at the moment is low. Like I don't understand why you think that an outage is going to be this. Like what I'm struggling here to understand is, and this is because there is no alternative. So when they say when the coal goes out and power's going out and blah blah blah, like what is your alternative? Are you trying to say that you would prefer that everything just keeps running off coal? Because the coal, like the fact that they're breaking down is a sign that something new needs to be in place. I don't understand how that's not obvious. And when they talk about when the wind's not blowing, if they're rolling out batteries for storage, and if they're running along with like more solar panels and stuff like that, there's a lot of ways that the grid is going to be supported when there are outages, and that is the whole approach. I'm trying to think of, is it nearly 40% of supply? Like renewables already account for a big portion of the grid anyway. I'm just not too sure if that's specific to Queensland, because he made a reference to Queensland then. Yeah, okay. Anyways.
They have to be ready when that happens with an argument they've started making now that explains to people why that would be the case and where the real fault lies. Otherwise, once again, they're going to get cornered in an energy argument as they did in the last election.
Okay. Like, I think he raises a very good point regarding, what's it going to happen? Like, what's going to happen when coal plants do fail? I think there was even coal plant fails and battery kicks in Australia. Did it happen in 2024 in like New South Wales or something? Yes, during... Oh, here we go. So, yes, during 2024 in Australia, new battery storage solutions and increasing solar rooftop capacity have begun to fill the void created by the frequent outages and breakdowns of older coal-fired power stations, particularly in Western Australia. Okay. This integration is helping to maintain grid stability as the transition away from coal power continues, replacing unavailable coal-fired power with new batteries and distributed solar. Specific examples: Western Australia. New batteries are blah, 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 blah. Have shattered records in the southwest grid as coal fire becomes unavailable due to frequent outages. Okay. Coal plant breakdowns. Older Victorian coal stations are experiencing regular outages and breakdowns, with the Yallourn power station undergoing scheduled maintenance for issues identified in 2022. So it kind of looks like it's already happened. Like, it's happening already, that there's breakdowns, and then the solar and batteries are basically have filled the void. The state's 3 coal power stations in Collie generated almost 20% less power in December quarter than 12 months ago because they were increasingly unavailable. Okay, so they dipped 20%. Instead of customers, interconnected systems was 20%, 14%. The switch from coal cut total greenhouse gases. Okay. The power system having to cope with more extreme demands. Was sweltered to 4 degrees. Demand hit the record. Conversely, on November 10, a weekend, mild temperatures negated this sun boosted cell output. Over 3 months. Okay, anyways. So it looks like coal power is already failing, and the batteries and solar is kicking in. That's what it kind of... Australia's coal power riddled with breakdowns, energy flares, new live tracking reveals. So, like, it's already doing its job. Just say Origin owned outages contributed 23. Oh, and this is, again, these outages is what's driving up this is just one article. Australia's largest coal-fired power station is unreliable and driving up electricity prices, according to a new report that argues against viability. I'm interested to see who did that report. The report from Clean Energy Consultancy Group. Next advisory questions, wisdom. Yeah, okay. Anyway, look, there's, it's all there. I want to know specifically when the so it looks like there are regular outages and that the renewables are taking over and supplying that demand, and it looks like those outages from coal is having an impact on energy prices as such. So do what you must.